diskette.
Welcome, everyone. It's been a while since I did a live stream. And hey, it's Friday night. I'm hanging out here, and you're doing the same, just relaxing at home, most likely. And the world is crazy. It's kind of a mess out there, isn't it? In some places. So why not talk about computers? Forget about the craziness of the world. Who needs all that craziness when we've got Emacs? And I've got some fun stuff here. I actually do have some programming planned. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a nice evening. We'll wait and see if a few more people pop in before I start the feature presentation. As you all know, I did the Git for Writers. The new ebook handbook is out. Let me pull up the nice cover here. Bang! There you go. So yeah, Git for Writers was kind of like the follow-up to Emacs for Writers, but basically using Git for managing complicated writing projects in the same way you would manage a large code base or a complicated program with lots of files. And a friend of mine who is a developer and also a science fiction writer, he was like one of the beta readers and rather enjoyed it. So I was happy to release that out. I have a link down below if you want to check it out. But in the same vein as that, I have basically a script here that you can use on a daily basis to kind of give you some Git writing metrics. So let's say you're in the morning, you got up, you did a bunch of writing. This will actually hook into Git and it will show you kind of like what you did, what you committed, if you left any notes on your commits, just kind of give you a little rundown. So let's set up a fake Git project to run this in. Let's just call it Great Novel. Let's put a little empty file in here, novel.org. Let's actually set up Git. Can I make this bigger? Yes, I can. Maybe we'll put it off to the side. So we'll initiate some Git. Okay. Nice. All right. While I'm here to make things a little easier, better install Magic as well. This is kind of like this is not my official Emacs. This is the one I use for videos, so it doesn't have all my stuff in it. Package install Magit. This maybe some people call it Maggot, but it's definitely Magit to me. All right. Let's go to our Great Novel and do a little commit just to get things started. This is the start of book. So if I open, nice, Magit is working. We'll just call that the initial commit. All right, so we've got one commit down. So that should be enough to test our script. Let me go back to it. visual offline mode going as well. Okay, so first I'm just going to tangle the script out to the desktop, and then we'll run it so you can kind of see what it does. And you may want to put it in your path, right? Like make it an executable so you don't have to type this out every time, but that's okay. For now, we can do it this way. Oops. So it's called idid.py. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. So I'm not sure how to run it that way. I'm just going to put it in the same directory. That'll make it easier. Okay. Now Python 3. Commits is not defined. What this means. I probably should have tested this first. Hold on a minute and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so this one should work. I'm back in the novel file. Let's call it novel.org. This is beginning of book. All right, now let's try this. So we're going to initialize Git. Going to do the initial commit. Okay, so now let's just open a terminal right there. this a little bigger. So if I write I did, shows me what, in theory, I did today on the project. So not much happened because we just started. So it's interesting is it says there's 0 words added. That's strange. Total commits 1, when the first commit was, how many files were changed, and how long the writing streak has been going. So 1 day. 1 day. Not bad, but that will build up over time. You can kind of keep a streak going. But let's actually add some more content. So let's say I came back. Let's add some more content. Let me get some text that I can throw in here. I always like grabbing text from random public domain books on the internet. Okay. All right, so let's say in theory I came back and I wrote all of this. How much is that? About 585 words. So let's say I just grab this first paragraph. Let's open up Magit here. Oh, and I'm going to put the code for this actual script on my website. I'm writing a post of it basically, so it'll all be on there. So let's say I take that just the first paragraph here. Let's commit that. Added new paragraph. All right, did it commit? So now if we do, let's see what I did. Okay, so we can see now in this commit, added new paragraph, 229 words added, and that was the file that was changed. So it tells us, gets the session info, so like approximately how long the writing session was, the time, and how many commits. Oh, and here's the word metrics up here. So you can see we haven't edited anything yet. So our writing mode is heavy drafting. So we've only added content. So in the other point, what's interesting is that it's pulling all of this data right from Git. So it's actually hooking into it and running the scripts and just presenting it to us. So you don't have to actually, chain a bunch of Git commands and arguments together to just kind of get some of this output. Which is nice because it kind of just formats it in a nice way for you. It has these nice emojis. Of course, Claude basically wrote most of it. That's why it has all the nice emojis in there. All right, so let's keep going here. So let's say we did some editing. Let's say we took out. Wow, that's some long sentences, long Victorian sentences. This is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, of course. So let's say I took a sentence or two out of the first paragraph, and then I'll commit those deletions and then the next paragraph. So we'll stage it, and we'll commit that, and then you can say, edited opening section. Added second paragraph. I mean, that's pretty granular. You may not that's just for the demonstration. You probably wouldn't have a commit message that specific, but it should be specific enough that you kind of have an idea of exactly what you did. So let's clear the screen. Let's run I did again. right, so now we can see we're at 3 commits. What I like here is the writing mode. So I'll have the information in the page on my website, but there's certain metrics that it looks at to see. So because we deleted, I think, like 2 or 3 sentences from the first paragraph, it takes account of that, and it sees that of the words added and the words deleted, that we edited 13, or that we're at a ratio of 13% editing, basically. So, why is that relevant? It's kind of a way of seeing what your writing habits look like, because some writers prefer to just do all the drafting and just get everything out of their head and get it all down on paper, in which case you're just drafting, full blast, and then they go back and do the editing later. So in that case, you'd pretty much be in that heavy drafting mode the whole time, which is fine. And some edit along the way as they go. So if you're somebody who's editing constantly, you might be at kind of like a 50% edit ratio from what you're editing and what you're editing. The thing to watch out for would be if you're somebody who is wanting to do more drafting than editing, if editing is something that you struggle with, this can be a way of kind of reining yourself in and saying, ooh, I'm kind of within 15 to 25% editing. I should just be focusing on drafting. And then you can kind of make adjustments as you go. So yeah, I like that it does that as well. So I like how it's keeping track of those things. All right, so that's an idea of what the script actually does. So let's kind of look at the code a little bit. Pretty standard Python stuff. Importing some modules here. And in kind of analyzing this, I was having Claude kind of tell me what it's doing. And these Python modules are interesting because, like, the date time one here, it does all of the, like, the calendar calculations and stuff for you. So you can see it's going to be looking at the date. It's going to be counting our writing streak and stuff like that. So this basically turns all those dates into objects that can be more easily manipulated, which is cool. And this pathlib one, it basically compensates for different types of file structures. So I guess if you're in Mac and you've got forward slashes, or in Linux, or if you're in Windows and you have backslashes, it accounts for that. So you don't have to do a lot of extra coding around that. You can put this into Windows or Mac or wherever, and it should work just the same. So here, yeah, basically this sets some of the initial parameters, creating a class that basically sets up the baseline parameters for what the script is going to be analyzing, sets the directory in which we'll be working. The time is now, and it starts the clock at midnight, because this is something that you would run daily to see just what you did in one day. I have a different script that shows you the complete history of a project going back to whenever you started. This one is for daily use. So it starts anything in the Git log since midnight. Here's the word counting utility. So word counting is in this workflow, you're kind of more counting commits. Like, if you read the Git for Writers handbook, I talked about how you can kind of think of commits as like thought units, right? So in this commit, we added a new paragraph. In this one, we edited something and worked on another paragraph. So these are kind of like units of thought in a way. They're showing that you did some work, whether you were adding or deleting. You were basically doing something. And that tells you more, I think, than just a word count, because it also tells you when you're editing. If you're just trying to hit 500 words a day or something like that, once you start editing, what are you tracking? Maybe you're just tracking hours or something like that. But with commits, it kind of shows you something you can track throughout the whole process. I have a comment here. So Real Nime says, hey, Chris, great to catch you streaming. Been following you for a long time now. Thank you for consistently putting out great Emacs content. Thank you. Makes me real happy. Love from Norway. Wow. Thank you. Yes, it's evening, Friday night here in the States. So we're just talking some Emacs jive. Well, actually Python jive. So yeah, but I included the word counting because that's what it's going to be using to see if you're in a drafting mode or an editing mode. And it could still be useful, like if you're trying to produce 500 words a day or a certain amount, just kind of as a rule of thumb, or if you're doing NaNoWriMo or something like that, it'll tell you your net words added. So if you have a certain goal in mind that you want to hit, you can still use the word counting as well. Oh yeah, so the other thing here is that it looks at the Git notes. So the thing with the Git commits is that they have to be only one line. For some reason, if your commit message goes over one line, it can mess with some of the other Git commands. I think it like messes with rebasing or something like that, which is not something that I use, but it could interfere with things. So you have the option of doing Git notes. So you can basically leave a note on a commit if you want to put more details about what you did. So let's actually demonstrate that, because the script, this bit of code here, what this does is it searches for any Git notes and it'll show them in the commit history for the day. So let's go back to the novel file. We'll open up Magit. And so I believe it leaves the note on the most recent commit. So I think it's a capital T and then another capital T to edit. And my default branch for writing is just called drafting. Because typically I'm not going to have like a master branch or anything yet until like it's probably human readable or something I'd actually show to people. So we can leave a note on that last commit saying, did some work in the evening, had some fun, did some editing. I think it automatically wraps these lines. Not sure yet where project is heading. Enjoying writing, something like that. And then Control C. Second line, it warns you that the second line is not empty. I think Magit just does that. So we can say, yes, it's fine. So if we clear it and do it again, so now you can see on that last commit, we had the commit message, edited opening section, added second paragraph. And then here's our note here. There's a nice little pin emoji. That's what we just wrote. Did some work in the evening, had some fun. So yeah, those are nice to have as you look like through the whole project history, if you like that. But yeah, it's nice to be able to keep track of those and see them. I might add them to the bigger script that looks at the whole history. What's this? Real Nime says again, you may have touched on this, but what got you into using Python and version control with Git? Well, with Python, it's seems to be like a decent language. It seems like it's kind of almost like becoming like JavaScript, like it's kind of universal. It's all over the place. It's ubiquitous. I most enjoy, Emacs Lisp because it's kind of old fashioned, but yeah, Python is it's easy, particularly if you're working with AI, like if you're using Claude Code or something like that. It seems to have an easy time handling Python. It does pretty well now with Emacs Lisp though, which is fine. But if you're doing anything in the command line, I'll pretty much go between like Bash and Python. It's just because it seems like it's pretty easy to use, pretty well integrated, and it can do a GUI with tkinter or the library that gives you access to make nice GUI applications and things. I had some fun with that when I first got Claude. So yeah, it's a good language. Like it. With Git, it was. I'd heard about it when I was at my tech support job. A guy needed help installing it on a server, and I had no idea what it was. So I looked it up, and I thought, "Oh wow, this is like what they use on GitHub." And I had already started writing in plain text, and then once you add Git to that, you can kind of see, oh, like it can keep track of everything you did, every change that you made. It can be kind of like a journal of your writing process, and if you want to rewind or go back to something you did, it's all kind of recorded there in your history. So I was just kind of fascinated by it. So I started seeing what application it might have for the writing process, and I liked this idea of tracking commits and being able to leave notes for yourself on what you did. I just thought it was really cool. So yeah, and knowing Git is kind of it's kind of obtuse. It's kind of like its own language, so it was a good thing to know. All right. Yeah, so that is the notes feature. So let's go back to the script itself. So then, of course, yeah, it's going to fetch the day's commits. It's a bit of a longer snippet there. Yeah, so this was important as well. So in this section, it ignores file renaming. So what would happen would be you could get yourself into kind of a confusing mess if you had a file that was, let's say, you had like 1,000 words in there, and then you just renamed the file. That would count as like 1,000 changes. So it would show that you wrote 1,000 words, even though you didn't do anything. You just renamed a file. So it would kind of mess up your word count. If you're using the word count as part of your system, it would be like a big redundancy. So Git actually has a way, I found out in the process of doing this, where you can have it when it actually does the diff to see and actually count what changed between each commit. It could ignore like 100% file rename and only count like any actual incidental changes you made. So in theory, the way the script works, you could actually, if you, let's say you added or deleted 200 words and you renamed the file, it wouldn't count every word in the file. It would actually just count what you changed, which is what we want to make it accurate. Let's see. Realnime says, if you enjoy writing Lisp, check out Babashka, which is a script version of Clojure. Together with Bubblegum, you can create cool GUIs. Thanks for the answer. My pleasure. A script version of Clojure. Okay, that's interesting. I'll definitely make a note of that. Babashka. For a second, I thought Babashka was like another YouTuber or something like that. That sounds pretty cool. Thank you. Yeah, I was talking to a developer about Lisp, and he said that Clojure is like a more contemporary type of Lisp language. But yeah, I don't have much experience with it. But yeah, it sounds interesting. And of course, in this part of the script, this was what does the counting of the writing streak. And a nice thing, I think the streak idea was suggested by Claude Code, but I liked it because that is a way of kind of staying on target with things. Jerry Seinfeld famously had a technique where, to get himself to write every day, he'd get a big calendar on the wall that was basically every day of the whole year. And for every day he sat down and worked on his routine and did some writing, he would put a big X over that day. And he said over time, you like kind of seeing all those X's grow and grow until you've like filled up the whole calendar. So yeah, this script actually has the writing streak in there. So you can kind of see that building up and keep yourself on target. And so this part of the script just converts some of the timestamps so that they're more nicely human readable. And some text wrapping. So you can see here in the original version of the script, the text of the commit messages and the notes was kind of going a little too far past the boundaries here, even though this one kind of still does. I can maybe rein that one in a little bit for the git notes. But basically, yeah, just some text wrapping so that the terminal output looks nicer. And of course, the nice thing if you're an Emacs is that you don't even have to go out to a terminal. If you have vterm, you can just run the script in there and get the same output. So it works in both places. All right, and then yeah, so printing out the summary. So this is just kind of printing out the information, and so this is where I mentioned the edit ratio. So this is some of the logic here to determine what writing mode you're in. Excuse me. So if your edit ratio is less than 20, I presume that's percentage. So if you're less than 20%, you're still in heavy drafting mode. If you're less than 40%, you're in light drafting. Less than 70% is balanced editing. Okay. Or I guess, yeah, 70, less than 70? Or is it, I guess, above 40, but less than 70? I guess that would put you into balanced editing mode. And then I guess between 70 and 100, you're in heavy editing. Or else, so I guess if you're higher than that, you would be in cutting and tightening. I've never actually hit cutting and tightening mode, but that sounds like you're doing some pretty intense editing. I presume that must be over 100, because then at that point you've pretty much changed everything you initially put in there. So yeah, very interesting. Yeah, there, not to brag, but usually my edit ratio is like below 50%. So a lot of what I put in there first stays in there. Or maybe that means I don't edit enough. So maybe that's not much of a brag. But yeah, that was also what I liked about counting the commits is if you've done only like 5 commits, you're probably not ready to share that piece of writing with anyone. It's probably, it needs more time. Maybe as you get toward 25 or 50, it might be becoming something. They can kind of be a measure of how much effort, how much thought you put into something. And I'm sure there's lots of stuff I write that I should put more thought into. But yeah, so that's the nice thing of the edit ratio. It can kind of tell you where you're at, and maybe you haven't done quite enough yet. All right, and this is printing out the results of the word counts, how much words added, deleted, and net words added. The other thing that's interesting about counting net words added is because let's say you're in an intense writing mode like PG Woodhouse or someone doing like 3,000 words a day. By being able to see the measurement of how much you wrote versus how much got edited out, and then seeing the net result, you can kind of see, well, I wrote 3,000 words a day, but I only produced maybe 85% of that or less was like finished publishable prose. So that's another interesting measure that you can kind of see that in this example altogether, we added 417 words, but after editing, the result is only 362. So yeah, that's
it's interesting to see how much you keep of what you throw in there. So yeah, and the session data, this is also interesting. It shows meta information about the writing session. So that's how many commits, when you started and stopped, and how long you worked, and your current streak. So yeah, so it tells you your first commit of the day, and then the last one. So I guess that's how it counts your session duration. Though I guess if you let's say wrote in the morning and then came back in the evening, I wonder, I have to test and see if it counts that all as one long session. Can probably break it up. Okay, so let's see. For a more detailed timeline, this goes through each commit chronologically and shows the commit messages, words changed, files touched, and any notes you left yourself. This acts as a sort of rapid log for the day's writing session. It's a chance to review what you did and plan for the next session if you'd like. This is why it's important to leave good commit messages for yourself. Yeah, and the point of looking at your commits and notes would be that you can kind of do like a debrief at the end of your writing session, and you can stop and say, well, this is what I did. Kind of check in with your energy level. Do you feel exhausted? Do you feel like you could write more? How did it end up? And then kind of like what you'd want to attack the next day. Like maybe there's a specific scene or something you want to work on, or if it's an essay, maybe there's a part of your argument that you feel is kind of weak. So you'll make a note to yourself that you want to maybe do some research and then attack it the next day. Something like that. You can kind of check in with yourself. All right. Wow. So that's the gist of that script. And yeah, like I mentioned, I will, this is actually the post that I'm going to be putting on my website with the script. If you wanted to try it out, it'll have all the information in there if you're curious about what it does. And yeah, I was thinking about doing a demo video, but I think this stream might count as a pretty good demo of it. But yeah, I might leave it there. I'm going for about almost 40 minutes here. But yeah, appreciate you all tuning in. I think I'm going to cut it out right there. Thank you for watching. And also, before I go, I will mention, before I forget, again, plug the new book, Get for Writers, handbook, ebook. You can get it on my website. I think I have a link in the description down there. So check it out. It'll have more of the theory behind some of the stuff I mentioned tonight, and just a little more information. It kind of goes through all the basics of Git. So if you've never used it before, or you're a writer and you're curious how it can be used for writing, check it out. Well, all right. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you all next time.